Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another modern video. Heads up, the website went down for a couple of days. I didn't quite get to fixing it up immediately, so I ended up recording some things a little bit out of order. C'est la vie, so it goes. Don't worry, Doomsday players, you will get your Doomsday leagues next week. But after dealing with the website and the cat and stuff, I didn't have enough brain power to figure that out. Okay, so today we are going to be playing with Peter K's modern Blue Moon deck list. And I enjoy these sorts of decks. So in case you're not familiar with the general premise, Blue Moon is a blue control deck with Blood Moon. Okay, the name's actually pretty self-explanatory this time around. It's not like Cheerios or something like that. So, just kind of as a general commentary on this deck list, there is a lot of counter magic. We have Counter Spell, we have Force of Negation, we have Archmage's Charm, which is like Counter Spell plus some extra things as well. And then we have some utility cards. Prismari Command is sort of like a color-shifted Culligan's Command that also does some other stuff. And then we have other flexible cards like Fire Ice as well. And you get Snapcaster Mage to bring these back. Now, notably, we do have Hall of the Storm Giants as a finisher, which I really like. I had a lot of success with this in the last Modern League that I played with it. But that will get shut off by a Blood Moon, so that's just something to keep in mind. As many Legacy and Modern decks right now, its finisher of choice is Murktide Regent, which is very frequently about a 2-turn clock, especially when things like Lightning Bolt or a couple of Snapcaster pokes get involved. I am worried that this deck is a little win condition light. Like, basically, you're expecting to win most games via a Murktide Regent, and as a hard control deck, that is somewhat viable. But if we're not going to count Snapcaster as a true win condition, because it's hard to do all 20 with Snapcaster and Bolts. You can do it, but it's hard. And we have 4 Murktide Regents and 2 Hall of the Storm Giants as our actual win conditions. Notice there's nothing here like a Jace or anything like that to serve as an alternate win condition. As far as the sideboard goes, it's essentially other types of removal and answers. So we get a few sweepers, a few answers to artifacts, engineered explosives as a catch-all, and then a couple of more targeted things like Aether Gust for green and red cards. Looking at the deck list, I sort of feel like this is the sort of deck where you want an alternative threat in the sideboard. Back when I was playing a lot of blue-red decks, I would often throw something like a Keranos or a Thundermaw Hellkite or a Stormbreath Dragon into the sideboard as sort of a way to finish games when I got low on time or something like that. And there's nothing like that here. Maybe that means I'm focusing too much on how few win conditions there are, and it's actually fine. Or maybe that's something that after a round or two we'll realize, yeah, we do actually need that. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy this. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for Legacy, Modern, and Vintage content most of the days of the week. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before we get started. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. If you want to try this one out, the deck list as well as my donation information is available in the video description. Let's battle. All right, I've kept my opening hand here, which is a little light in terms of early interaction, but I do have a couple of different early cantrips that I can play, and we do have the possibility to just Thought Scour myself into an early Murktide Regent. I think I'm just going to opt here this first time, though. Yeah, because I would love to see just anything that I can use as an early piece of interaction. I will go ahead and take that card. Yeah, cool. That's a fine draw as well. The combination of these two things should bridge me to the next turn just fine. And then once Archmage's Charm is on, I'm not super worried about what all is going on. So now the real question is, like, do I want to use Fire Ice to just tap down my opponent's land? Oh, it is a Considerer. Oh, we're probably playing a pseudo mirror of some kind, in which case my life total isn't super relevant. I go ahead and take this here, and I think I will just tap down my opponent's land. All right. Sure. Okay, so we're probably going to awkwardly stare at each other for a while in all likelihood. There's a pretty good chance I end up just hardcasting a 3-drop. I'm not going to play the Misty this turn. I'm not familiar enough with exactly where the modern decks are right now to, like, know for sure what's up, but I've got a general idea. I think it's fine to, like, do the end step, try to, get a little bit of value here. I'll just cast my opt. Another? Yeah, I'll take another. Yeah, if you want to kill this, go ahead. I am not defending the Snapcaster Mage. Get in there, bud. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, your go. I'm just going to let my opponent go to discard here. Nice. I'm hitting land drops and my opponent isn't. This is giving me some degree of virtual card advantage here. There's a world where I want to try to like opt in Thought Scour in order to try and find an early Murktide Regent, but I'd rather just pass with this mana up and not really give my opponent targets on my turn if I can help it. Okay, so they are going to loot and create a treasure. Do I care? Opponent's not really making any plays. They're just going to let that happen. Magmatic Sinkhole. Interesting. I haven't seen that carded hit play in quite a while. Alright, let's do some stuff. Let's Thought Scour myself. Just filter through those cards, and I'll go ahead and opt as well. I think I'll just bottom that. Sure. I am going to just go ahead and double fetch here. This could give my opponent to cast something. I've got a Force of Negation if I absolutely need to, but I'd rather get these mana sources out of my deck. Alright. And we'll just keep sending things in until I have a reason not to. I am sitting on 2 different hard castable things. I don't really want to counter this. Like, it's a threat that's in play, but I'm just so safe right now. This will probably be a time, though, where my limited number of threats is going to come back to bite me because I didn't counter that, though. I'm going to go ahead and throw a lightning bolt at my opponent's face. I don't want to discard. I'll cast that later. Blast Zone ticks up. That's fine. The fetch is also not that big of a deal. Can this hit people? Yes, this can hit people. Sure. Alright, so it doesn't look like anything else is going to happen. Let's do damage to any target, and I'll loot. Maybe cast the Thought Scour first. Yeah. I'm gonna discard the Thought Scour and a land. Okay. Just more burn. My opponent's at the point where they might have to start fighting over this burn soon. No. I will counter that. Okay, so they're gonna just choose the draw 2 mode. In which case I should probably just use a Force of Negation and take that here. We trade even. I'm at the higher life total. And I still have Force of Negation as a safety net for something big and scary. Yep. So we'll exile the Fire Ice there. And I'm good to go. That would have been a great time for a Murktide Regent. Am I okay with playing this into Force of Negation? I think so. I would like to, like, slime a Murktide this turn if I can. This is probably fine. I could go Bolt, Snap, Bolt right now, but that seems pretty aggressive. I'd probably Lightning Bolt my opponent at the end step, but don't go for Snapcaster. I would like to cast Snapcaster with 5 mana available, rather specifically. So let's go for the Bolt and see if they bite on it. They do not. That's a lot of counterspell. I'll say no to that. You're going to say no back. I just say no from hand. I think I'll just say no from hand. Alright, stack clears. I think I just pass turn. My opponent having Shark Typhoon when I don't is a little scary. I don't love that. Don't think this is a card right now. Like, that actually gives my opponent more red mana. Don't think I love that. I'm just going to hold this with the intention of going Snapcaster Lightning Bolt and trying to finish my opponent off. Alright, I will say no to that. Okay. I don't really want my opponent to draw those cards. The Murktide command doesn't have any modes that have to do with countering, do they? No. I could just Snapcaster counter, but then the Blast Zone means that I don't get damage off the Snapcaster, which I don't love. Alright, let's go for it. Alright, and I'll go for the counterspell again. It just feels so threat light here. Alright, let's try to find a threat. I'll just bottom that. That's kind of a threat. Alright, do I play the Blood Moon? I guess. I'm not excited about it. Oh, I mean, it was good enough to get a counterspell, so that's cool. So now I will be hoping that my opponent fetches at some point, and then I can use this Lightning Bolt to finish them. Alright, in response to that, I will just go ahead and Lightning Bolt them. I will bring them to 1. That's fine. But I'd rather guarantee that damage. Alright, so we're chilling. My advantage is slowly slipping away here. I'm really worried about my opponent just drawing a Shark Typhoon and, like, just cycling it. I think I have to answer that. Bone Crusher Giant would be a great card for this deck. Yep, we're going to hold that as a bluff. Okay. That's bad for me, because that just represents another card at some point. I'm gonna just fish for damage now. Bottom that. Yuck. Okay, yeah. Opponent seems to have more threats than I do. These, like, modal threats that, like, can be interaction or a threat when you need them seem pretty good. Alright, I'm down to 11. Okay. Do I cast it? My opponent has burned through 5 of their counter spells. They're hard ones that would answer a Murktide Regent. I have also burned through a lot of mine. I think I'm going to just go ahead and go for it. Alright, so... Oh, it sticks. That's good news for me. Now, my opponent can just, like, bounce it or tap it down or something. Yep. Oh, shit, that's super bad. Now my opponent is going to have a second Brazen Borrower. Yeah, my opponent has more threats than I do. That's bad. So I'm going to go to 5 here. I'm dead next turn. So my hope is that I draw a burn spell, and I can play Murktide as the bait and then kill them with the burn spell. That's a burn spell. Alright. Opt, counterspell, opt, counterspell, Force of Negation. Alright, that's fine. Okay, they are going for cycling here. I think that means they don't have a counterspell right now. I'm going to respond with Snapcaster Mage and try to Lightning Bolt them. Ooh. Okay, so if they have a Lightning Bolt effect, I die this turn. And they get to dig. Okay, there's a land drop. So the funny thing is that I can't really attack with the Murktide on my next turn, because if I do, I die. Or do I? I would have died to a Cryptic Command already. Counterspell, counterspell, a Lightning Bolt, a Fire Ice. Guess the Archmage's Charm. Seems like this is not going to resolve. Oh, they're going for a draw 2. Okay, it has resolved. So now the question is, like, do I attack? If I attack, I will die to another Brazen Borrower or a Fire Ice. If I attack and they don't have one of those, then next turn, blocks are required on both of my opponent's creatures. I'm going to go for it. My opponent has 4 cards. I'm on empty. I don't know that I'm going to gain a lot by sitting back here. My threats are bigger than my opponent's, but I am very scared right now. Yeah, this is scary. This is a 7/7. Okay. So, if I attack with both, my opponent goes chump chump and kills me with this. If I attack with 1, my opponent chumps. Cost 6 to animate this. And then they could Lightning Bolt me and kill me. Yeah, I probably wait here. See if I can make my opponent sort of like tap the mana to animate this first. Opponent is having a good hard think about this spot. Okay, looks like they're not going to take an action. I'm going to sit here and just think for a second on their end step, just kind of like bluff that I actually have a live card in hand. I think that's worth a few seconds off my clock. Am I getting iced? Getting Snapcaster Maged. That could be any number of things here. Magnetic Sinkhole isn't killing any of my stuff. You can bolt me to the face. Ice seems good. Tap down the 13/13. No, they're going for a Prismari command. Alright, they're going for 2 damage to me and loot. They're trying to finish me off here. Okay, I mean, you've got it. I have a land in hand. Alright. Next couple cards were not particularly kind. Okay, so Remember in the deck tech where I said I really wanted some extra win conditions in the board? Yeah, I feel very strongly about that now. Because I don't feel like I have great board cards here. And, like, I want to probably take these Blood Moons out of my deck. Because I have so few win conditions that I'd like to be able to rely on my Hall of the Storm Giants as, like, something that can help close the game for me. Yes, I know my opponent has those too, but, like, I need something else. So, I guess I can play the Weird Mana Leak. Gonna be pretty good in the early game. And I don't know about Relic, because my Murktide Regents are a really big deal and basically my only way to win. Like, I could straight up just play, like, an Abrade to kill opposing Snapcasters or a Flusterstorm or something instead. I think I'll play a Fluster. But yeah, I want more win conditions. This hand's fine. I think I'm going to shock myself on turn 1 and play Thought Scour. Try to feed some cards into the graveyard, see if I can seal this game with an early Murktide. Let's Thought Scour. Okay, we hit multiple Thought Scours there. So there's 4 cards in graveyard. If that was a fetch land, I could have just slammed a Murktide. I will be able to Murktide next turn, though. That's the good news. Yeah, your Consider is fine. That is not worth a counterspell at all. I really wanted to just slam the Murktide on the play before my opponent's literal counterspell was on the table, though. Okay. That's a little annoying. And again, this is something that I presume my opponent boarded in, and I'm not super ready for it. Alright. I will go ahead and opt. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in graveyard. I can keep this to protect future, like the Murktide in the future. I'm fine with that. Delve time. So I have Force of Negation for something that they play this turn, and then I have 2 counter spells, maybe 3 because of Snapcaster in the future. Alright, so here's hoping that my opponent just dies in 2 turns. Stop that. Okay, so you're just going to cycle that to buy time. Can't counterspell that, so that's happening. Yep. So the good news is Murktide kills in 2 hits. Bad news is, like, my opponent has bought a turn, and that is one thing that I very much do not want them to be doing. I'm gonna counter that. That is worth it for me. This represents so much damage. Yeah, you can consider. That's totally fine. So I will just crash in. I will leave up counterspell for my opponent's turn. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, opponent makes another land drop. I'm not going to Lightning Bolt or anything end step. I don't want to drop counterspell. I would love a land. Thank you. So now I can counterspell with Force of Negation back up. See if my opponent just dies. Okay, again, I can't counter this. But I can kill that and get that out of the way. Maybe I'm not even supposed to do this. We fighting? I think we're fighting. I don't know. They only have 2 cards left. Maybe I just let this... no, they're about to have 3. Nah, I'm just going to leave 2 counterspells available. Like, as long as this thing doesn't leave play, I'm okay. I don't want to, like, smell blood in the water and then lose because of it. Okay, that's fine. Okay, opponent looks like they're going to take action in my turn. I'm going to attempt to counter that. Actually, I should counter that with this, because then I can counter a Snapcaster. Alright, so this is the point where I'll go ahead and go all in. My opponent's last card is a... Yeah, okay, yeah. Alright, so now I know about Thing in the Ice, which my removal cards aren't super good at killing. I could play EE to answer it. I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to board in another Flusterstorm. I want to protect my Murktide Regents, because I think early Murktide Regent is my best way of winning this matchup. That's 100% a mulligan. This hand doesn't do much, but I think I'm just keeping it. I'll throw away 1 opt. Okay, yep. We can each play our respective cantrips. Yeah, and I'll play mine in response to yours. I maybe should have played the Misty Rainforest, fetching and shocking on turn 1 for better chances of just playing an early Murktide, but, like, the math changes a little bit when I'm on the draw in terms of, like, what are the chances that me just jamming a turn 2 Murktide actually works? 'Cause, like, now their counterspell is up. I do probably want to try and use my Murktide, or not my Murktide, my Mystical Dispute at some point in the not too distant future before, like, it just becomes invalidated. I want a Murktide right now. Yes. Yes, thank you. There's 5 cards in graveyard. And I can do it with 1 counterspell backup. Hell yeah. Alright, you counter. I counter. You have another. Yep, okay, that's fine. But again, I very much feel like I am the aggressor in this matchup. Because, like, I need to end this game because my opponent is more threat dense. And if we go back and forth with these trades, they're going to find more answers. So, like, in game 1, bolt. I just bolt. I don't think I want to just bolt, though. Does this work for 1 mana with Snapcaster? Yes. I don't think I want to use these yet. Let's wait a little while on this. Let's try to do some other stuff. Opponent has 5 cards. I'm gonna fire this. Do 2 damage to it. Yes. Oh, but like my opponent is cantripping while doing that. I just feel like my opponent's deck is just so much better positioned than my own deck. Shit. Yeah. All right. Here's to hoping they don't actually tap that. Yeah. Not so much. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna get while the getting's good, but I don't expect this to resolve. Yeah. Didn't think so. Snapcaster counterspell. Yep. Okay. You got it. As expected. Yeah. My opponent also, like, got to bring in their relics, whereas I really can't afford to do that because they just have these things like Brazen Borrowers and Bone Crushers that they can play. Fuck me. Alright, GG's. We're dead. I will not beat that card. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 6 to activate. I also just have not had a second red mana. Trying to avoid some damage in the early game by fetching an island has come back to bite me a lot because I've never been able to, like, bolt with a Snapcaster. Everything's bad. Everything is bad. I am going to try to cantrip into something else that matters here. Nope. Nope. Just nope. I'm not winning here. I am going to concede. I just can't beat a resolved Shark Typhoon. I literally do not have answers to it in my deck. GG's. I am unsure if this is a capable opening hand. I have 2 Murktide Regents in my extremely threat-light deck, but as far as interaction goes, especially being on the draw, this is pretty mediocre. I'm going to keep it, but something like a Thought Scour would just so dramatically improve this hand. Okay. Please don't be scary aggro deck. Okay, Godless Shrine. Not sure what to think of that in this format. Like, my first... Oh, shit. That just means Reanimator? Oh. My opponent is going to do, like, a legacy level play on turn 2. Cool. I don't have any Brazen Borrowers or anything, do I? So that's just going to happen, and I'm going to fold to it. I literally can't take anything out of play that has greater than 3 power. Or 3 toughness. And steal 1-drops. Alright. Do I want to play a game where I try to tap down an Archon of Cruelty for a billion different turns in a row? Like, do I think I'm going to win that game based on the rest of my hand? I don't think so. Because Archon of Cruelty is going to attack once, and then I'll lose a Murktide that I play. I'm going to throw in the towel there and try to do better next game. Relics are fine. Braids are fine. I might just need this as a bad mana leak. Just yikes, basically. I think I'm gonna get rid of this for being slow. Jeez, I don't like how this matchup feels. Maybe it's okay if I get established and going, but getting to that point seems spooky. Ugh. Let's assume that I don't have time to be messing around with Blood Moon and that I also can't shut off one of my win conditions. This is a 1-lander. With 2 redraws plus a draw step to find a land. I don't know about this one. I'm going to keep it because it has Thought Scour plus Murktide Regent. I think I am definitely in. I am trying to steal a game from this deck territory. Alright. I'm going to fetch Shock. I need my colors here. I suppose I don't main phase this, though. I suppose I wait. I don't know which reanimation spells they have access to. But I don't want to, like, mill a Murktide and then they get it or whatever on turn 1. This is targeting me. I'll take this opportunity to Thought Scour myself, and then I'm going to lose this Murktide in all likelihood. Oh, another Murktide. Now I might just lose the Opt, and my opponent takes me off lands, and I flub around and die. I do have a lot of lands to hit as draws. That's the good news. Okay, I do lose a Murktide here. This puts 5 cards in graveyard. I can put a small-ish Murktide into play if I spike a land. I do spike a land. We are absolutely going for it. Alas, it is only a 5/5. I don't know opponent's deck list well enough to know exactly what all I should be playing around. But I know that I am actively scared. Hopefully I just, like, Hopefully I just untap with a Murktide and, like, things are good. Just tap that down. Wonder if I just tap that down. I could also opt and try to make a land drop. I think I'm going to tap that down. It's awkward if my opponent just, like, paths my Murktide, though. Whatever. Izzet. I also just have no idea how my opponent will have boarded after I just concede after making no plays in game 1. Okay, Force of Negation is a great draw. Hit for 5. I think I'm going to opt now. I do not want that. Want hit lands. Oh, more Force of Negation is totally fine. Now I can Lightning Bolt my opponent and then have lethal in the next turn cycle. Nope. Absolutely not. Goodbye. Now short of something like Solitude happening, I've just got the win. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna hit the submit button. Now my opponent will have a chance to actually, like, sideboard for the cards. Nope. Nope. Just deck was perfect already. I might just lose this game for being on the draw here. I'm gonna keep this. I think the hand is kind of mediocre, but hopefully between Thought Scour and the draw step I find something. I found something. Alright, now I've got a turn 2 Murktide. The Thought Scour is going to dictate how good it actually is, and I won't be able to protect it with a counterspell immediately. So if my opponent just has, like, natural turn 3 Liliana, like, that's just getting me. That is targeting me. I'm gonna go ahead and Thought Scour in response, because I think filling the graveyard is pretty important. We'll see if I luck into a second Murktide here. I did not. Yep, as expected. Okay. Play a fetch and pass. I can take the other Steam Vents out of my deck if my opponent doesn't make a counterspellable play during their turn. I don't remember. There's another, like, Entomb effect that got printed that searches for a non-legendary. I don't remember if that's an instant or a sorcery. You can know my hand. That's fine. They didn't escalate, so they don't have a creature in hand. They knew most of it anyway from the Thoughtseize previously. Okay. That's just the, yeah. So let's fetch the other Steam Vents out of the deck. Maybe I should have kept Blood Moon. I just kind of assumed that a 2-color deck, well, what I assume is potentially a 2-color deck actually has basics. I might be wrong. Alright, what are we looking at? This thing has Unearth too. That's kind of a pain in the butt. I guess I counter it. Not, like, thrilled about what's going on here. But this can just represent, like, a 5-mana reanimation effect later on in the game. Yeah, let's continue to pull lands out of my deck, I guess. I have a bad mana leak now. Absolutely bad mana leaking that. Yeah, I just don't have, like, planeswalkers or anything to, like, grind advantage over time, which I don't love. So when I played Blue Moon in the past, I had more win conditions, and I was occasionally playing things like Pendilion Clicks and Vencers to both have interaction and additional ways to clock my opponent. I don't think I like the win condition density in this deck. And because I don't like the win condition density, I'm trying to play this as a more aggressive deck than it actually is meant to be built. Okay. I mean, that's great for me. Oh my god. Since my opponent knows about some islands, I'm just going to play some more islands. I need to draw a Snapcaster, a Murktide, or an Archmage's Charm pretty damn quickly. Or I think my opponent will just find a way to kill me. This is just looming in a way that scares me. It's not scary right now, but it can become quite scary. Okay, looks like my opponent is not going to do anything on their turn. I'll cast this now. Do not want that. Yes, something like that is much better. Alright, so now I've got to draw 2 or a counterspell. I don't think I just want to fire this off immediately. What on earth is this? That's annoying. I don't think that's worth countering. Alright, I'll bolt your 1/1. And let's use this as a draw 2. Okay, we found another draw 2. Relic is great. Relic is very, very, very great. We'll start chipping away at the graveyard. I can use it in case of an emergency. Things could get a little weird. I don't think I want to use this as a draw 2. Yet. I will use it as a draw 2 on my opponent's end step, but I kind of want to go through their turn and see what's up. Yep. Happily say no to that. I've got a relic I can crack in case of emergency. Very nice. I should really check and see if I actually have a fetchable basic. I have one more left. Alright. There is a moderately sized Murktide Regent. Junk a card from your graveyard. Oh, you know, I should have done that differently. I was so focused on using the relic on my opponent. I could have paid a little bit more mana and then just, like, exiled a non-instant or sorcery card from my graveyard to continue growing this because of the... Or no, it is instant and sorcery, not a card. Okay, JK. Those abilities are symmetrical. Ignore what I just started to say. Ripping a counterspell here would be very important. I'm gonna cash this in. The fact that I get, like, 2 pieces of value from their graveyard is pretty sick as well. Bottom that island. Found a different land. Alright. That resolves. I'm so threat light, too. This is rough here. Okay. The good news is I have nothing. Alright. Try to find something. I'll take that. I'll use this as a draw 2 right now. That's not bad. Dig deeper. Do I want to braid? I'm going to use fire to kill this. I don't think I want to braid. Lightning bolt. That's fine. Actually, do I just use lightning bolt to kill this and keep this so I can just cycle it into another card at my opponent's end step if they don't do anything? Yeah, sure. And then I still just have the ability to try and cycle into counterspell if my opponent does something scary, like play a planeswalker. Yeah? Like, there's already a target in there. I guess that's happening. Alright. So here's the big moment. Do I draw counterspell? Nope, that is a Scalding Tarn. Fuck. Alright, now I can't answer a 5/5 that's in play, and I lose to this. Right? I'm just gonna confirm I cannot beat a 5/5 that's in play. I have literally no way of bouncing it or removing it from play. Yeah, that's correct. Yep. Cool. GG. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and keep my hand here for, what is this, round 3. I have an early Thought Scour into Murktide, which is something I definitely want. Let's go ahead and lead on the Scalding Tarn so I can put an extra card into the graveyard and maybe get the early Murktide if that's something that I think I need to do. Okay. That is the Abzan one, or the junk one. Let's kind of see what happens with this Thought Scour here. See kind of how good things look. I'm gonna go ahead and Thought Scour myself here. If I put a bunch of instants and sorceries in the graveyard, I might force. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Force of Negation would be 5 cards in my graveyard, so I can play a turn 2 Murktide Regent. I think that's totally fine, and I'll keep the Archmage's Charm to have some fuel or a counterspell to back it up later. Okay. Alright, so let's play this and this. Alright. Turn 2, 7/7, let's go. Please don't just, like, path me and make this seem embarrassing. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, this is great. Like, that is just gonna get lightning bolted, and I'm gonna hit them for 7. Nice Cauldra. Oh, it's a Batterskull. Same difference, though. I guess let's cast the Opt now. Actually, maybe not. Yeah, I'm actually not gonna cast that now. Alright, so my opponent's at 11. Snapcaster plus Bolt is going to be a pretty potent way to kind of get the last couple of points of damage that I need in. Fine, let's opt here. I don't think I want that land. Bottom that. Or this can go to any target. Yeah, that can go to any target. That's totally fine. Okay, that is also a very good draw. So I think I'm just going to go ahead, go 7 in the air here, and I have a counter spell for whatever removal spell my opponent can have. Okay. Tiny thing there. I had the win earlier. So my opponent's at 4. I could have just Snapcaster bolted prior to combat damage, and then that instant leaving my graveyard would have gotten the kill immediately rather than requiring one of my 2 creatures to get in for damage. Okay. Don't know too much about my opponent's deck in terms of what they're doing. I expect that Relic of Progenitus is going to be good, though. The red removal is probably not at a premium versus threats like Tarmogoyf. I think I'm going to need these Aether Gusts. Let's board those in. So, like, this Blood Moon's probably fine. I'm just, like, not super hyped about it. Like, the Blood Moon doesn't win me the game. The Blood Moon doesn't answer a Tarmogoyf that's already in play, and so on and so forth. I think I'm going to go the Fire Ice is out. The Fire side is bad, and the Ice side doesn't permanently answer anything. And then I think some number of, like, the Prismari commands or Blood Moons probably come out after that. Maybe it's Blood Moon on the draw? I don't know. Let's try keeping in the Blood Moons. I don't think they're particularly good in the grand scheme of things, but maybe I'm underrating them. I don't want to, like, play the Blue Moon deck and then get yelled at because, like, the Moon was great. You just boarded it out every round. But I don't know. I'm unconvinced by the Moon as of right now. We'll see if I change my mind. That's a weird one. So I have a relevant hate card for the matchup in Relic. I have a Blood Moon as my pseudo win condition, and I have 2 or maybe 3 redraws here. I think I keep this. We'll see how things go. All right. This will be a good indicator of how highly my opponent values the Blood Moon. Okay, they valued it pretty highly. I think I'm just going to stick this Relic of Progenitus on turn 1, and then I can hold up Counterspell on turn 2 for my opponent's turn, and if I don't have to Counterspell something on their turn 3, I just double opt. But I hate how bad I am going to be versus a threat that just sticks here before I have Counter Magic up. Yup. Okay. So I have Counterspell up for my opponent's turn, and then I can double opt to try to get rid of a lot of their stuff. I think I let that happen. Because my graveyard is covered by the Douthie Voidwalker. And theirs is covered by my Relic. Yeah, that can resolve, that's fine. I'll take 3 here and go to 17. And then I get to double opt. I'm going to bottom that and try to look for a red land. I get quite a few looks. I'm going to bottom that and look for a red land. All right. Not working. I mean, let's try to make my land drop now. Nope. QQ. Guess that's turn. I don't think what I did there was wrong. I want to play this Blood Moon before my opponent can deploy more of their relevant cards. So this Tarmogoyf swings in. I'll junk this. And then I take 0 from the Tarmogoyf. Okay. And that happens. I can't crack this relic. I need to keep this around for potential Tarmogoyf. So these are just going to go to exile. Which is awkward because, like, my opponent could Douthie Voidwalker them in, but I think that's better than milling my opponent and having to manually take out those cards with Relic. Cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna Stone Cold be dead here to not having a red land in the top 20 cards. I even bottomed a Lightning Bolt, but, like, I've had no ability to use that as removal. Alright. The 3 more damage comes in. Just confirming. Zeros. Yep. Down to 11. Yes, that resolves. We have that checked. Okay. The good news is I have a land. The bad news is it both enters tapped and it is not red. I can't even, like, Archmage's Charm in this turn cycle. Are any of my cards relevant here? It's like this can't block something with Shadow. I think I just let this resolve. I guess it becomes weird with Douthie Voidwalker if I let them. No, if I used a counterspell on this, they would also have access to a counterspell off Douthie Voidwalker. But they're probably just going to keep turning that thing sideways. Okay. Alright, do I play a Snapcaster Mage and try to just, like, block and kill one of these? I think so. There's a world where my opponent has, like, a Fatal Push or something and it actually makes me take some damage, but at some point, the floodgates are going to break open. Alright, do I counter this now? I can force and pitch Aether Gust to keep the Snapcaster alive. Both of those are instants. These will be 1/2 Tarmogoyfs. I can trade with one. I'm just going to let that happen. Cool. So the thing is, if I draw a red land, this game is still winnable. I just bolt this, keep removing things from the graveyard. The Tarmogoyfs are in check, and, like, maybe I can do something. As things stand now, the Tarmogoyfs are going to slowly overpower this relic. Okay. So, like, if my opponent plays a different card type here and I counter it, I take a lot of damage this turn. Alright, so I exile this so it doesn't go to graveyard. That's the good news. The bad news, though, is that I am still dead on board here. I guess I could have pitched cast Force of Negation, pop the relic to live another turn. I'm just going to go ahead and concede here and save the couple of seconds. Yeah, this was just... oh my god. So 24 cards deep until we hit a red source. That's rough. Are there enough red sources in this deck? So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the 22 mana sources, more than half. Okay. I mean, that is what it is. Okay. Do I need EEs for Tarmogoyfs if I have these relics? Maybe. EEs can also help clear Lingering Souls tokens, but only kind of, because if my opponent plays conservatively with them, they get a 2-for-1 there very easily. I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to go down some number of these Archmage's Charms because they're kind of slow for a couple of EEs. Well, the EEs can't answer anything higher than CMC2, though, and I expect that my opponent has some number of Planeswalkers in there. This is a hand that has lands and spells, but doesn't actually have any plan to win. I have no interaction with my opponent other than whatever Thought Scour randomly digs up. I think I'm gonna mulligan this. I am unhappy. I'm going to keep this hand because this means that if I get Thought Seized, I can just, like, still have a Murktide Regent in hand and maybe do something with this. But this is not good. I expect to lose this game. I don't know that it's better for me to go to 5 than this, though. Alright. Land go. Alright, what do you got for me? I assume it's probably discard on turn 1, because we saw both Thoughtseize and Inquisition of Kozilek over the course of this match so far. Okay, I mean, this is the reason why I kept the double Murktide Regent hand. Yep, alright, sort of as expected. I guess I play the Flooded Strand here. So my opponent knows to play around this Aether Gust that's in my hand, so they don't need to necessarily just, like, ram out a Tarmogoyf into this all nilly-willy or anything. Hello! Unfortunately, my opponent can just fetch a second basic here. But Hopefully this is at least a hiccup. Okay. Did not immediately get like Abrupt Decade or Assassin. God damn it. God damn it. This is the worst because this also means that Murktide Regent does not get to come into play reasonably. Yeah, alright. Blood Moon sucks. Confirmed. We're gonna have to get to 7 mana and hardcast this fucking Murktide Regent in order to have a 3/3. Alright. Good stuff. Also, like, we basically have no outs to that, right? Like, we can't EE on 3. We don't have something like a Prismatic Ending that just, like, cleanly answers this. We're dead. We are going to just single-handedly lose to this card. Okay, so the Kaya pluses to do nothing. Sure. Yeah, if you were going to do that, though, you should have done that prior to activating the Kaya, because now I have, like, a card in my graveyard that I could have not had instead. Okay. So I effectively have 5/6 mana towards this Murktide Regent, and if I Lightning Bolt, I still have 6. Cool. I guess I could, like, Lightning Bolt my opponent end of turn, and then hope that I rip a land in order to play the Murktide Regent. It is real sad that I am working this hard to get a 3/3, maybe a 4/4. I could also wait until I just have the land and then do that play to guarantee myself a 4/4 Murktide. The Kaya ultimate is not going to kill me quickly, but it is going to kill me. Yeah. Yep. And there's currently no instance in the graveyard. So I can't actually kill that Tarmogoyf with a Lightning Bolt. Sick. I think I'm going to wait on the Lightning Bolt. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wait here. So I will have end of turn, cast Archmage's Charm to draw 2. And then I will Lightning Bolt my opponent and send some things to exile with Murktide Regent the following turn. Yeah, this is feeling like it's going to be an 0-4 drop leagues, folks. I hate to tell you, but I just do not feel like my deck is prepared to deal with the stuff that resolves in the same way that, like, a Jeskai control deck would be. Yep. Alright, I'll take that damage. My opponent forgot to activate their Planeswalker. Cool. We're going to lose to them anyway. Okay. Them? Probably just them. Alright. I think I'm going to go ahead and Thought Scour myself and try to make this Murktide as beefy as possible. This has some drawbacks regarding the Kaya. But I also think this is how I win. So I have 8 cards in exile, just for reference. Played a land. I'm going to be Stone Cold Dead to a path, or equivalent. Yep, alright. I think this is the point where I just concede. I am not going to beat this active Tarmogoyf plus another creature plus the Kaya that can space laser me. Alright, good stuff. Round 4, I'm opening on a no-lander, so that's a snap mulligan. This hand is also quite bad. If my opponent is not playing a small creature deck, I basically have no interaction for them. That said, I probably am better off keeping this rather than going down another card. In the hope that they actually are a small creature deck, I'm going to go ahead and keep all 3 of my removal spells. But this is just going to be another one of those games where if my opponent, like, floops a Tarmogoyf into play or equivalent, I'm going to have... Yep. We have stone cold nothing for this matchup right now. That's rough. Hopefully we draw some counter spells by the time that, their fundamental turn comes around. I do get a couple of turns, but I am currently expecting to lose. And I technically should have done that in their end step, in case they had other things to play. Hello. I wonder if I was supposed to shock myself and bolt them on turn 1. That's super aggressive, but would have worked towards fueling a Murktide faster. I also wonder when I am supposed to bolt them. It's still probably end step. But they have some effects that I think keep their life total from changing. I don't remember the exact wording of some of those things off the top of my head. So this is slightly awkward because I'm going to fetch and shock myself here so that I can play double Lightning Bolt. But I wanted to play the fetch land to put more things into my graveyard. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't get the fire ice into the graveyard. So I guess I should just play this Sulfur Falls. I don't think I need to leave up 1 mana. I don't think that's the like make it or break it of this game. Oh, excuse me. Ugh. All right. I have a 5/5 with no counter spells. I expect to die not on this turn, but on my opponent's next turn. That'll be the point where they just have a ton of mana. Okay. I guess I'm just gonna play this, hit for 5, and then tap down one of my opponent's lands in their upkeep. Guess I'll fetch now. I guess for the 1 damage. Actually, no, I will still do this. There's a world where I try to send that directly to the face and then draw another point of burn the next turn. But this denies 1 mana while also giving me a look at another card for exactly that sort of thing. Yep, okay. Don't get to counter that one. So you can't lose the game this turn. Your opponents can't win the game this turn. Damage that would reduce your life total less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. Yeah, that's fine. And I presume this is going to be like an ad nauseum. Oh shit, they have the silence as well. Rough. I mean, I wouldn't even be bluffing anything if I countered that because I don't have a second card for Force of Negation. So I guess that just happens. Alright, do your thing. Okay, it is Thassa's Oracle plus Spoils of the Vault, which will exile their entire library, and I will lose. I'm not super familiar with everything that's here, so I'm just going to take a quick look. Okay, yeah, they do have the Ad Nauseam package. What is Infernal Plunge? Red, red, red for sacrificing a creature. Okay, so they are all in on the whole Thassa's Oracle side of the equation. Okay, cool. All right, I'll take my counter spells in, and that's gonna be about it. Yeah, my Blood Moons are usable, I would say. They make it harder for my opponent to do multiple spells in the same turn cycle. But they have some things like Artifact Mana that will allow them to cast their spells, so it's not going to completely lock them out of colors. I think some of this sort of stuff here is probably the weaker side of the spectrum. And again, I'm so threat light that this game is going to go on for a long time. Prismari Command as an instant could be used to just go and destroy a Lotus Bloom that comes off suspend. Does this let me take any non-land? It does. I can try to take stuff with that as well. Okay, I'm gonna think about this for a sec. Okay, I think ultimately I am going to cut the Prismari commands. Like, they have some use, and maybe I can loot towards more relevant spells. But it's a wee bit slow. This is a reasonable hand that has essentially 2 copies of Flusterstorm. I think I have to just keep this. That said, I'm not, like, actually super stoked about this hand. Because, like, I just don't kill my opponent quickly. And I am just going to send this Lightning Bolt upstairs at the first opportunity, because if my opponent doesn't do anything that requires countering on turn 3, I probably just Bolt Snap Bolt and try to keep the pressure going. Getcha? Okay, I mean, that's a lot of Lightning Bolt. I'm going to play an island this turn, the off chance that I draw Blood Moon next turn. I can have multiple islands in play after doing so. Okay. Guess I just bolt this here and don't let them do the scrying. Not Blood Moon. Okay. Alright. So I will have a Flusterstorm available, or I will have Bolt Snap Bolt available. I just need more counter magic here, because I don't really feel super safe unless I can counter multiple times in a turn. Okay, sure. And I have no pressure currently. I think I just have to get this going, unfortunately. Next turn, this could represent, like, Fluster, Snap, Fluster. But I think I just need to start beating face, because I don't actually have that many win conditions. And I think getting aggressive here gives me a better chance of winning. Okay, nice. Fashion for my 2, but I still have to survive so many more turns if I'm only chipping away with Snapcaster Mage here. Again, like, having something like a Brazen Borrower here that I could just, like, oh, floop that back to hand and then be attacking for more on following turns is fine. I think I have to let the mana go here. Try to counter the things that matter. Because I don't have that many actual factual, like, hard counter spells. Like, the Flusterstorm isn't going to hit a Thassa's Oracle, for example. So I don't think I can just give that up. You're not quite good yet. You will be after the Counterspell War. I'm going to go ahead and shock myself here. Just bluff that I have more than I do. Because my opponent is planning on winning via Thassa's Oracle, it doesn't actually really matter if I take that damage. Alright. The opponent's down to 8. Or, sorry, down to 10. Next turn, they're down to 8. And hopefully at some point, I just get to floop a Murktide into play. I cannot tap out for it reasonably anytime soon here. Blood Moon would be a sick draw. I mean, that's not bad either. That gives me something to do at my opponent's end step if they just kind of pass the turn again and wait me out. And they can wait. Like, they can just wait until they have all the mana in the world to try going off. My Flusterstorm is likely to be outclassed by double Lotus Bloom as well. So a lot of times I'm probably going to have to, like, counterspell plus Archmage's Charm to double counter relevant things. And maybe for that reason I don't actually play the Archmage's Charm in this turn cycle. Yeah, I've convinced myself not to do that. Okay. Yeah. So now I have 3 counter spells available, which hopefully means I'm safe. Things can happen, though. Okay. It's just mana. There is a temptation to cast this Archmage's Charm here, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I think I'm just going to continue to hold up triple counterspell. Okay. This little Snapcaster that could. So, nope, it looks like this is the moment. All right, let's start with a counterspell on that. Okay, more land. Good news for me. All right, we'll counter that. Well, I've got 2 cards left. I've got a Flusterstorm. Do I fire off the Flusterstorm? It's a relatively hefty tax. I think I just let that resolve, because there's a chance this can kill them, right? I think I just let that go. Yeah, okay, nice. All right, so we have to do that again. Just take a quick look at the revealed stuff here. This is mostly the sort of stuff that I was expecting. Okay. The Flusterstorms get a little worse without Prismari Command in the deck to destroy Lotus Blooms, but I think that's fine. Yeah, I think I'm just going to run this back, but the game on the draw is way scarier. Yeah, this potentially has an early Murktide, and it has 2 counterspells in hand already. That's totally fine with me. All right. Oh, they do have... Oh, I think I saw a basic before. Okay, that's fine. All right. Land go. I'll Thought Scour myself at end step. We might be able to do like a turn 3 Murktide. The question of whether or not it will be safe to do so is an entirely different question. Okay. So I'll Thought Scour me, try to fill this graveyard up a bit. Okay. I have a handful of counterspells available, which is great. I do sort of wonder if I should just like play a Snapcaster Mage here and start attacking in with it. I think it's correct to do so. Get in as many hits as I can now, reduce my opponent's life total, and make it so that like 1 Murktide hit ends up killing them instead of 2 later. Yeah, okay, not a bad draw. I think I'm going to be countering the Lotus Bloom here, so that my Flusterstorm remains more live a little bit later. That may be a mistake, though. I don't know the matchup well enough to know, but if I can keep this Flusterstorm live for something else, I think I'd prefer that. And if I draw... Ooh, they value that, so I guess I should value that and just trade this Fluster 1 for 1 here. This is probably one of those times where we both walk away decently happy. Oh. With the exchange. Okay. So you remember that part where I said I thought we were going to go 0-4 in this league? It turns out that's not true if my opponent kills themselves from 18 life. My opponent in chat has just typed, like, all caps, like, 4 of God. Okay. GG's. GG's. For our final round here, I have a hand that kind of does nothing right now, but could do many things. I was about to say, I'm just hoping we're not playing against an aggro deck because I have no sorts of removal in the opening hand to deal with early opposing threats. All right. So we can go ahead and move to game 2. We've probably just lost this one. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to concede here, but early unchecked Ragavan is extremely bad. Especially since I have a bunch of, like, relevant hits. Like, they can hit my cantrips, they can hit my counter spells to protect their Ragavan, they can hit my lightning bolts, yeah. So, like, that just straight up converts into a new card with a little bit of selection for them, unless they have something better to do with their mana. Alright. Yep, this is terrifying. Oh. I see. Yep, I mean, that's happening. Oh, neat. Oh, there's more. Oh, we'll opt and see if I find a Force of Negation. Nope, that goes to the bottom. Nope, okay. So I'm going to get hit for 5 next turn, and my opponent is going to get to make 2 treasures. Oh, no, I might get hit for more. Alright. Just straight up a 1/3 dwarf. Okay. Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable Fuck, there is more still. Oh my god. Oh no, okay, they're just making the treasure now while they're guaranteed able to do it. I don't know. Maybe I find Murktide Regent here? No, I milled 2 Murktide Regents. Okay. Yeah. I'm dead. I'm gonna fetch Shock so that I have access to red mana. The life is costly at this point. Blood Moon. No. No, thank you. Alright, yeah. Well, I guess I'll let my opponent kill me and see if they show me any more cards. I've already kind of figured out, like, removal good, artifact destruction good. Alright. Okay. So I take 7. My opponent will loot through something here. Just a land. Alright. Oh my god. They can just cast that if they want. Oh, they don't even want. Fuck. Alright. Alright. We're done. Well, that was brutal. Things that are removal in? Maybe Relic for Luris. It's like medium minus. Blood Moons are too slow. They probably need to come out. I probably don't want to play the Force of Negation because I need to be countering creatures. And then I probably just, like, cut one of the slower counter spells. The Archmage's Charm can take some of their stuff, but I don't know how good that actually is at the end of the day. If my opponent is running white removal like Path, my Murktides also aren't, like, super safe either. So how many Lurises does my opponent have is, like, the next question. Because if the answer is a pile, I am probably supposed to get rid of Relic. Or sorry, get rid of some more Archmage's Charms and pick up Relics. But if the answer is only a few, I'm probably supposed to keep these counter spells. And I just don't know the answer to that. Yeah, this hand has a sweeper. I will keep it. Okay. So my opponent mulliganed once, which is nice for me. So basically, I'll be hoping that I can just... Fine, I have answers to that. I'll be hoping that I can just kind of steal this game with an early-ish Murktide Regent. So let's Thought Scour and pump up that graveyard. Totally don't mind drawing that. I think I'm just going to grab a basic here. I do not need to kill this thing now, I don't think. There's a world where I can snipe a second creature. So I'll let it attack so that they can't dash in another. So let's hit both of these targets. Alright, good stuff. I really need more land. Copter's fine. Alright. I have 2 instants in the graveyard. I can make it a third. So I guess the question here is, do I want access to Bolt, Snap, Bolt at some point? I don't think that's super relevant right now. I think preserving my life total could be more relevant. Like at the end of the day, my opponent is probably an aggro deck with a combo finish. So let's send this upstairs and then do the Murktide thing. All right. So I have a 6/6. And I have the ability to destroy this Smuggler's Copter and many of their smaller creatures, but some of these things are an X3. All right. This is fine. And ship in there. Oh, looks like I'm not getting pathed immediately. That's nice. All right, opponent is at 6. Or sorry. I just dealt 6 damage. The opponent's at 8. Prismari Command plus a Murktide attack is now lethal. All right. Don't mind that. A Luris. That can just replay a Ragavan. That doesn't matter. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to destroy target artifact and deal 2 damage to my opponent's face. And just not let them get an activation of the Smuggler's Copter. Okay. You have a new copter? Oh, dashing the Ragavan, sure. Did not realize that you could dash from graveyard. So they would need a path as one of their remaining cards. All right, they don't have it. So I saw another really early Luris there. I think that means I want these relics, especially now knowing that my opponent can dash a Ragavan from the graveyard. That is a little bit obnoxious. Yeah, this hand is fine. I have removal for a turn 1 Ragavan. I have removal for the follow-up threat that's played, and then at some point, not too far beyond that, I have a Murktide. I'm also starting to wonder how much removal my opponent actually does play. Right. I don't think I need to play around like an Aven Mind Sensor effect here. I'm just going to go ahead and pass the turn. And there's a very real chance that I end up bolting this, but it's not 100%. Like, there's much better things I can bolt. Gonna take the 1 here. Go to 19. This is the one that can become indestructible, right? Yeah. Uh-huh. Alright. Don't mind my opponent shocking themselves. It makes my job a little bit easier later. That's fine. And I will go ahead and just shock here for the sake of making my mana curve out better. And we'll take out the thing that has 2 power. I think that's better than taking out the dwarf. So this will just be a land go moment. I'll be willing to take 2 from these things in combat, and I'll abrade 1 end of turn if my opponent doesn't do something else that I need to respond to. Yep, that's fine. I'm at 14. Yep, and just to use my mana, I will take one of these out, even though they're not particularly scary. And I will probably end up following the same pattern, where I'll hold up the counterspell on my opponent's turn, and at their end step, if they don't do anything, I'll just clear the board of this. I think, I don't know, I might just ignore it if my opponent doesn't do anything. It's not doing that much damage, and I'd rather have that lightning bolt around for something like a Luris. You know, I'm going to leave that in there. So in the not too distant future, I can cast a Murktide Regent while leaving up a counterspell and just like use that lightning bolt to take something else out of my graveyard. I think I like that well enough. These things being X3s is just like ever so slightly annoying, but not actually all that problematic at the end of the day. I also could just Snapcaster Abrade it. All right. That is probably just going to be counterspell worthy. I could also Snapcaster Abrade it. I think I will Snapcaster Abrade it. That's annoying. I think I'll counterspell that and then play a Murktide. Opponent's only got 1 card, so there's a pretty good chance whatever I am about to do will work. So now it's a question of, do I want a Murktide that's 1 bigger? Like, do I want a 6/6 Murktide or a 5/5 Murktide and the ability to Lightning Bolt? I don't have to play the Murktide this turn. Like, I could just Snapcaster Abrade this turn or Snapcaster Lightning Bolt this turn. I don't know. It feels like getting this game over with is probably a good idea, though. This will be 1, 2. Maybe I leave the Lightning Bolt in there. I can't Snap Bolt in this turn cycle. No, I could just Snap Prismari Command later. It's fine. We'll see if my opponent suicide attacks their T'Pala in. They do. Okay, so they get nothing. This isn't a dwarf. Cool. So for my trouble here, I get to kill that in combat. I'll take 2, which is totally fine. Yes. Could loot here and do 2 damage to their face. I think I am going to go ahead and do that. There's a chance that I draw... or no, Force Negation's boarded out. I'll discard this and this. Okay, so I think I'll just cycle this relic immediately. That is how life works, isn't it? Okay, that's fine. I will lightning bolt that. Let them go to combat so they can't dash in a Ragavan that I would care more about, and then I'll kill this. Little 1/3 creatures are doing some serious work. Feel pretty safe now, though. They have Snapcaster Bolt for, like, the big bad Ragavan or equivalent that actually threatens to swing this game in favor of my opponent. Thought Scour me. Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it is more important for me to leave up, like, Counterspell and Bolt than to just put this... It would be a 2-turn clock. No, I'm good with it. I'm just going to leave the EE in the graveyard in case I have to play yet another Murktide. Yes, that's fine. This isn't legendary, correct? It is not legendary. This is also 6 to activate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so another land just means that I can activate the Hall of the Storm Giants as well. It should be pretty hard for me to lose from here. Like, my opponent has to have 2 absolute bangers. Okay, we cobbled together a 2-3 finish for this league, which I am pretty happy with, if I'm being honest. Overall thoughts on the deck. This deck feels like it would have been a fine deck at a different time, but is just completely unviable right now. So, Modern feels pretty fast right now. Like, it always feels fast, but the pressure that things like cards like Dragon Rage Channeler or maybe Urza's Saga or Ragavan put on you, as well as Murktide Regent, which we saw coming down on turn 2 every once in a while, and sometimes frequently even turn 3, means that I don't know that you just have time to sit back on this package of, like, Counterspell, Snapcaster, bring him back, and just really drag the game on. We basically have, 6 win conditions plus, some games that we get to steal with just Snapcaster and burn. It really feels win condition light. I think right now I want the ability to just, like, pivot into the aggressor and close a game earlier. I want a few more threats in this, and they don't necessarily have to be in the main deck, but in the 75, I want access to a few more threats. I also don't feel like this color combination has access to the answer suite that I need. So, for example, a lot of the games that I won were, I won them because my opponent couldn't answer Murktide Regent in 2 turns and died. And when my opponent put a Tarmogoyf into play or a Murktide Regent into play or anything of that relative size that 3 damage couldn't kill, I just literally couldn't take it off the board, which is not an okay position for a control deck to be in. So I don't know that the Blue Moon's strategy is super viable right now. Like, I feel like the white-based removal is really important. I want that, that Path to Exile that can answer, both your Ragavans and your Murktide Regents, or I want the Prismatic Ending, which is just one of the most flexible removal spells ever printed. I just don't feel super good about the archetype here. Maybe I undervalued Prismari Command in this league, but I feel like it's no Culligan's Command. Like, with Culligan's Command, I felt like, in Legacy at least, I felt like I was always just setting up unbeatable chains, Culligan's Command, return Snapcaster Mage, Snapcaster Culligan's Command. The second time around, I blow something up, I return a Baleful Strix, I draw more cards there, and Prismari Command just doesn't do that same degree of action. It's a fine card, but it's ultimately, I think, much weaker than Culligan's Command. As far as the sideboard stuff, again, I just felt like I was kind of lacking in answers to certain types of cards. I just don't feel super good about where I'm at with this deck. For example, Engineered Explosives can answer things that are CMC 1 or 2, but my additional sideboard removal, like, literally none of it is hitting a Murktide Regent, right? And I can't reiterate, I think, how important that actually is. So I don't know how viable this archetype is right now. There were a couple games that were close that if I had a little bit more experience, I might have been able to win. Like it's very possible that I could have won my round one. I think I lost that one with my opponent at one life. It's been a couple of days for me. I kind of split up my recording here, so I don't remember exactly. But I'm 100% sure that game was winnable if I played that one differently. Because like in that first game, my mindset was I am going to use my Archmage's Charm as a counterspell, and my opponent's mindset was I'm going to use this to draw cards. And maybe that's a difference of decks or viewpoints or what, but I think round one was winnable. But I wouldn't feel super comfortable bringing this deck to a big event. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button. Helps me out a lot. If you're new here, consider subscribing for legacy, modern, and vintage content frequently. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!